So the digital transformation in the world of work will be the thematic priority for our German presentation today. Our expert will be Michael Hertel. Michael is a good old colleague of mine from the Federal Institute for Vocational Training, Education and Training, the BIBB. The BIBB is the center of excellence for VET in Germany. It's based in Bonn. We are about more or less 700 colleagues, employees now working for the BIBB. Research and development in vocational education and training is the main job of our institute, and to identify future problems in the VAT sector as soon as possible. The national agency, the part from the BIBB where I am from, is also a part of the BIBB, the National Agency Education for Europe. We are responsible for the implementation of Erasmus Plus in the field of adult learning and vocational training, and for some national programs for mobility in the VET sector as well. So, Michael Hertel is a colleague of mine from the Division for Teaching and Learning and VET staff in the BIBB. I had a look into the organization again and saw exactly the quality assurance by training of instruction personnel and the fostering of distance learning and the use of digital media in VET is two of the main responsibilities of this division Michael is leading. Digital transformation of the world of work will be in the center of his presentation today. He will focus on teachers and trainers in VET and new requirements for qualification in digitalized working environments. Unfortunately, Michael will have to leave us sharp at 10:25 because another conference is waiting for another presentation of him. So we have it's the situation in these days. And thank you, Michael, that you could come and present or make your presentation. We have, or the BIBB have produced a video which we want to show you. We will see. Maybe it is better just make the link in the documentation and take the time for the discussion, because, as I said, Michael will have to leave very sharp at 10:25. So the floor is yours, Michael. Can you take over and take the screen?
Yes, of course. I will. Good morning, everybody. I will try to do my best. My boss always says the best is not good enough. So we will see what will happen in the next minutes. I just will share the screen with you. So, but ready, that's the first chart. And what I will explain to you a little bit in the next minutes is that one of our main target groups in referring to shape the changing world of work, so this digitized learning and working environments, are the teachers and trainers, which are in Germany really a core group of our interest, because they are working as specialists in their single professions. Next chart, please, just to get a little view on them, if it's possible. Yes, so we have two learning venues, as you might know, the company itself as learning unit, you see it on the right-hand side, and the vocational school where the young ones are taught 1 day per average per week in their single profession. Next chart, please. And this group of teachers and trainers is not a homogeneous group. Yes, it's, as I told you, they are very experienced in their single professions, as a carpenter, as a bricklayer, as a mechatronic. But beneath their technical know-how, they have to teach pedagogical. Yeah, pedagogically, to train the young ones how to move in the world of work. And so we have full-time instructors and part-time instructors. That's very important. Nationwide, it's about a figure of 650,000 full-time instructors and about 2 million, 2.5 million part-time instructors. And what might be important is that these persons are, the majority of them is in the age group of 50 years and older. So on the one hand, very, very experienced in their single training professions, in their single professions, but on the one hand, they are, next chart, please, they are really pushed and irritated by this megatrend digitization. It's, I only choose this chart to point really to highly point out, we see this big five of the US, and they really influence, is a good word, influencer, we all know it. They control in a way more or less how we can communicate, how we can inform ourselves, how we share our professional interests, our private interests. So in a way, and we are in a way dependent on them. And our next chart, please. And if we are not able in a way to build up our own professional knowledge how to deal with these technologies, yes, on even in the nearer future to find our no ways, probably we have the bad and sad example of a big global player. Maybe some of you know the name of Kodak. They did produce films for making photos. I hope films is a right word, but in the year 2012, they got bankrupt. They had an employee, a number of 145,000 people as employers, and they were in a way substituted through Instagram, which started in this year's with 12 persons. They were sold to Facebook. You all know these stories because Kodak was not able, this technological development or this change into digitization is not just falling down from the sky. Yes, it was in the years 2000, 2005, 6, 7, 2007, the iPhone was on the market. Yes, and Kodak in a way did not realize this changing, and they just disappeared because they couldn't handle this disruptive change of digitization. And referring to educational systems and the training, especially of adults, how to deal with it, is a real challenge of today. Next chart, please. And if we go only with some short words, what did change in the world of work, you can read through this. I will not repeat it, but it is very important that we have to, as an adult trainer, yes, or instructor or vocational school teacher, I have really to try to teach and didactize this new world of learning, which is more abstract, which needs more teamwork, which needs more decision making of the single person, which is speeding up. So the half time of knowledge is really sharpened, cut into smaller and smaller pieces. You get more information and you have fewer employees in the companies because they need fewer people. So all this, next chart, please, is in a way a very complex new setting for teaching and learning. This chart, which you now see, one shouldn't show it, because it's too much written on it, but it's just a summary of what we got to know a teacher or trainer, independently how experienced this person in his or her working life is. Yes, this is a new complex knowledge which adult teachers and trainers need in the meantime. Yes, they have to teach not technical tools, yeah, for working, for communication, for visualization. They have to embed them into a didactic approach. How shall I do this? Yes, how do I know which digital tool I need in a certain phase of my training or schooling? With which aim do I need it? Do I need it? Or have I to use it? Or are there other tools which I can use? What are the risks? Yes, data security is a big, big thing. OER, yes, open educational resources, how to use content from the internet, how to motivate young ones just to put the smartphone away. Is it a motivation, or shall I incorporate the smartphone into my daily teaching and working life? So all this gives really difficulties to the adult experienced teachers and trainers. Next chart, please. And if we just try to summarize what you've just seen, we see four main aspects which we try to summarize as a kind of a new uh, um, a new qualification, which we name media pedagogical competence. Yes, not only media competence, media pedagogical competence. That's important, and that is there's a source of four topics. You need first media competence itself. So you should be able to, you yourself, a trainer itself is a media, yes? And you should know which technical books you need in a certain professions, how to teach, how to organize a team. But you need additionally media educational competence. So you should talk to the young ones, to the apprentices, even about the challenges, the risks, the dangers of the internet, of using the internet as learning and communication tool. So an educational aspect, very important. We all know cyber mobbing, how to deal with it. It very easily happens in the company, especially among young people, not only among young people. Cyber mobbing is really a problem. You need didactic competence. As I just told, you have to know how to use digital tools in which situation in a reflected way. And you need media integration competence. So that means if you start to work with digital media, you have to integrate them in well-established and stable running context of a company, of a vocational school or training center. And very often the head of this centers, a head of a company, they are not amused because you need additional money for what? So you have to explain it. You have to know how to explain why do you need additional equipment, for example, a tablet or an access to Zoom, yeah, and how to deal with Zoom, like we saw it in the beginning of my presentation. So, and this next chart, please, can really lead to a desperate situation for the scene. No, just one back, yes. Only just to visualize, because teachers and trainers, they don't have time, yes. Their day is packed, yes. They have to start in the morning, someone is coming late, some clients are not satisfied with your services, some people are ill, some colleagues, so you are in a permanent stressy situation. And now the internet or the digitization is just running around the corner, so you're frustrated in the moment. And this was a point where we stepped in and said, stop. Next chart, please. Don't get nervous. Don't get, there was the wording tsunami. It's not not to make jokes about it, but we are drawn by offers in the internet, and you can really get desperate out of this. But what, next chart, what is the core task in Germany of a teacher and trainer in VET? It is written down in our vocational training act, in our vocational training act, in the first paragraph, and so paragraphs, reading through paragraphs and some acts is like reading in the Bible. You can interpret it this way or that way, but there is really the sentence that the job, the aim of vocational education and training, and so the mission statement for teachers and trainers is to prepare young ones for a changing world of work. Yes, to work and orientate themselves in a changing world of work. This is our core statement, mission statement, and we try to reduce it. Next chart, please. To reduce it, because we have a holistic approach how to teach and train. So we offer young ones as teachers and trainers in companies, in vocational schools. We call it learning and work tasks, to integrate them through their learning into the work life directly. And this is a circle which is always repeated. We start, so the shadow person is me. Are we as the teachers and trainers? We are in the role of moderators, more or less. So the first phase of a learning task is, please inform yourselves. What is it about? The second is, on the basic of the information, we plan how to realize the learning tasks, the work tasks. Then we decide on the basis of the plan. We realize on the basis of the decision. We control and evaluate it, and try to reflect what could be done better, what did run not so good. And this circle is always the same, even in very so-called simple vet situations and complicated vet situations. It's always the same, this holistic circle. And if you go now to the next chart, what we did is we said, okay, if we go as a teacher or trainer through such a learning and work task, no? We entry and then we run through it. We saw that digital tools can be summarized in 6 thematic clusters. They represent content, we can visualize with them, we can communicate and cooperate, we can simulate and systematize, we can do a diagnostic or test online, competence check online, something like that, and we can reflect. And this gives a first structure for this really flood of information representing the internet and all these tools. And if you go now to the next chart, you see what we did. We did put this holistic approach of teaching and training into the middle of this IT-based possibilities, how to support teaching and training, analyzing information, how to share information, how to cooperate, how design and simulate. And we said in every single phase of this informing, planning, deciding, realizing, controlling, evaluating phases, you can choose 1 or 2 digital tools. And then in order to realize your training job, in the end of the day, you have 6 to 8 or 9 tools which are clear, which give a clear picture how to start with. Yes, it's an open end. Next chart, please. And so we started to develop a seminar concept, a continuing training concept for teachers and trainers to, support them for getting media competence, that we give them in our seminars the job to formulate, to decide a learning and working task, to create it digital supported, to customize it on their special workspace, to prepare their own digital toolbox where they can put in their 5, 6, or 8 tools, how to start with it, and then they present it on the end of the seminar. Next chart, please. And we do it with a concrete aim. We just not start to say, oh, just use a Mentimeter. Yes, do a little knowledge quiz and everybody is happy with it. Or just create a small tutorial with your video. Yes, as a little explanation video. Or we don't say just use like a whiteboard like this Padlet. Yes, so separated, isolated as a technical tool. We said, no, we are using a taxonomy. We formulate learning aims, so we don't jump into a car and drive on without an aim. Yeah, so we need an aim where to learn for. And you see the stages. We start in this, and MICA, sorry for that, is a short form for the seminar concept. It means media and IT competence for teachers and trainers. Ausbildungspersonal in Germany, therefore the A, or you can say it for adults, media and IT competence for adults. So MICA is a short form, the label for this. And we really start on the very basic, on a taxonomy, on the very basic, how to remember what am I doing in my daily job, what is the internet about, to understand it, and then try to analyze how can I use it for my teaching and training. Then we step into a presence seminar. The first phase, understanding, remembering, is we offering online seminars moderated by a moderator. Then we step into a presence seminar to repeat it and to discuss it from face to face. In the moment, a little bit complicated because of this COVID-19, but we hope the future will be brighter someday. And then they realize it in their own company, what they did learn, the teachers and trainers. We collect them a couple of months later and then compare with them what they could realize and not. Next chart, please. And this is only to show it to you how complex this seminar really is. It's not complicated, but I think it's important to know and to create an understanding that working with digital tools, even for adults, is not only a just select 3, 4, 5 tools and then use them. Yes, we have to embed them in a didactic approach. We have to reflect what I already said, how to use them, and this needs time. If you go to the next chart, don't read through this. You can do it maybe in the documentation. And this is only a symbol that media literacy or media pedagogical competence, it's not easy on an afternoon to learn. Yes, we have this seminar has about, is a 50 hours seminar distributed in a learning time of 3 months. So a quarter of a year. You see it week 1, week 2, up to week 13 or 12. And this needs this time, yes, in a way to get your own understanding of this. Go next chart, please. And this, what we said, we have this quite big number of teachers and trainers in Germany, and we just can't offer seminars every day from north to south, to the west to the east in Germany, to the center of Germany. So we said, okay, we have to create a home base, a landing page where we put this seminar in. And we did already create 20 years ago an online website, an online portal for teachers and trainers. It's called this www.voraus.de. Voraus stands in German Forum für Ausbilderinnen und Ausbilder. So it's a forum for teachers and trainers as a home basis where we put this learning world online. I think we are in the moment in a testing phase, but in the summer of this year, we will launch this learning world online where every teacher and trainer can jump into it, and he can choose different levels of knowledge. Yes, so if he has a basic knowledge, maybe he knows how to deal with the Office package of Microsoft. Then he says, oh, I go to the second level. Or he can say when he's on the third, he starts with the third level, he can and does not check anything about this. He can go, okay, I go maybe to the second level. Yes. So we try to organize this online learning world within the next months. And we think this, and it's open 24 hours, 7 days a week. We don't have a hotline during the weekends, but we try to improve this offer really from month to month, and are really curious how teachers and trainers react to this office. We are developing this seminar concept in the moment with a selected number of teachers and trainers and chambers of crafts and commerce here in Germany. They are the so-called competent bodies for teaching and training. So the multipliers, they give us access to the single companies and teachers and trainers. So we try to embed this seminar concept into the vocational, into the VET system, not to put it additionally and now try to use it and be happy with it. We try to put it into the system and create probably a first national standard for media pedagogical competence. And if teachers and trainers did run through this concept, we are really optimistic that they then can orient themselves dependent on their job, whether they are in a more or less in the craft sector or in the industry sector, or even in the service sector, so that then they create their own professional media competency on the basis of this standard. And that's my story. If you have the last slide, thank you for this support. You find my email, and if there are really questions after this day of your meeting, just send an email and I will be happy to answer it. So thank you so far for this. I don't hear nothing. Everybody on board? Hello.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Everybody sleep away. Did sleep away?
No, we didn't sleep.
Camo, totally shocked.
We were all muted to listen to your presentation. Thanks a lot for it. It was very interesting. And yeah, we were talking about the sector of adult learning, adult education yesterday, and today we started now with these explanation or examples for the world of work, which is I think you mentioned the number of trainers and teachers in this sector, which is enormous, because so in Germany we still have, I don't know, 500 or 600,000 young people every year as apprenticeship in the system, which is a real big number. And so the importance of this sector is really high. I will have to look to the chat if there are presentations.
Probably is, before we start with this, maybe a short information from my side, which we are really curious about. It's a development. We are on a regular basis, we are asking companies how they nationwide, on a nationwide scale, so that are really representative analysis, how they deal with digital media. And we are really surprised that the most favorite media format still is the good old school book. In a way, it's a printed, yes, it's a hard copy, and this is not because people don't like new formats. It's a learning is always a social, it's a cultural process, yes, and just to leave it or just throw it overboard, all these books and all these behaviors, this we shouldn't yes, mix it. Yes, we have to deal with a very clever mix of a blending learning approaches, because it's very popular to talk about digitization and robots and artificial intelligence, but very often we are forgetting the human factor. And the stress in Germany for the VET system really is the young people which are in the age of 15 up to 18 who start to go into a training, they don't know nothing else as the internet. They are grown up with it. And the older ones or the adults, they know the world before, yes, and they have really problems to mix it or to step into it because it's not easy. And so we see that the technology is becoming more and more smart and easy to use on the one hand, but the usability factor, yes, to use them really is staying on a low level in the average. It's a different in the banking sector or in the IT sector. But if you go on a nationwide scale, we see that there in Germany, a lot of companies, especially the small and medium-sized companies with their employers and teachers and trainers, they are far behind even in a European or international comparison. They are far behind still, and this is of big concern for us, and therefore we did try to start to develop and work integrated seminar concept for training this media competency. Only as a short maybe summary for this, the background we are working with, because we are in a strong competition to the academic sector. Everybody wants to go to universities, and the industry, the economy is really crying out loud for young people to step into vocational education and training. And if we are not able to offer IT-based blended learning environments which are really attractive and modern, even especially for young people, we are really under pressure. So that's my last remark to this. Thank you. Yep.
I put the link to the website you mentioned in your presentation for Voraus.de in the chat so that everyone can see it. It's open, and it has also English version. I don't know whether everything is translated within this page. I suppose it will be not, but there are even video material and so on that can be used in English as well. So you will find the English version of the page very easily. www.voraus.de. So are there any more questions?
Yes, I see there that Hannah has her hand up, Hans.
Oh, I did not see. Yes, please.
Yeah, that's true. Well, thank you very much, Michael, for this interesting presentation, and Hans-Georg for your comments. I think it's really nice to hear that the discussion about ICT in education is coming of age, because, I mean, till now, for ages, I've been a teacher in the 90s, and there's been an enormous focus on, first of all, teachers can't do it, or teachers don't want to do it, and then an opinion about teachers' attitudes, which I find just horrendous. And there's been a lot of focus on, we don't have enough technical staff, we need more PCs, we need to spend money on the equipment. And what you're talking about, I'm hearing the words embedded, I'm hearing didactic, I'm hearing a pedagogical approach. And I think that's what teachers have been asking for all along. What is this? I mean, okay, you introduce a computer. What does it do that the book doesn't do? How can it be used? You know, what does it bring added value? How can we use this to improve existing models and patterns and ways of thinking in a holistic way? And I really like that, because it's, you know, the discussion really easily goes off track and becomes something else, becomes about money, becomes about, you know, teacher bashing or something else. And I think, you know, what you say there is really, really interesting, because it's about embedding. It's not about revolutionary, you know, turning the world upside down. It's about how can we use the models that we have that are really good and well thought through, and how can we use the taxonomy, not just putting games and fun into the classroom. And I think it's really interesting to see that this is where the discussion is going. And you mentioned books, and of course, I mean, I worked in publishing, and what the school book does do, and why both pupils and teachers like them if they are good, is that they provide structure. Going on the internet doesn't provide any structure at all. So if you want to, if you want to have a progression, if you want a structured way of looking at some material, that's what the book does for you. And of course, you can add and supplement with other sources. And I think what you say about blended learning is also, I mean, it's probably the most sensitive way to go about it. And this is, I mean, for the, let's say, at least for 20, 25 years, this is what teachers have been asking. What? Okay, computers. So what? What can they do? And I think what you say, didactic thinking around the digital skills is really what's necessary. So I congratulate you on your initiative there, and I hope that the teachers are happy about your seminars. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Yes, I think Fred, just a short remark to this. As soon as a teacher or trainer said, okay, I'm ready to go for this 50 hours seminar into this, yeah, we got really positive feedbacks because they say, oh, that is it about. Now I can sort it out a little bit. Now I can say, okay, it's nothing else. And if a young one shows me the smartphone to say, oh, look at this update, I can say, okay, that's nice with this update, but we are doing it this way because I'm able to explain why I'm using a certain format in which way with what aim, yes, to support teaching and training. So support it, not just to put it away. And this we have to repeat. But the big barrier really is that a lot of, especially older teachers, and I said the majority in Germany is 50 years and older. That's not the bashing of older people, yes, because they are really experienced and professionals in teaching and training. The big barrier really is that they just say, I don't have time for this, and it's too much, and in a couple of years I retire, and so on and so on. Yeah, and this is really, it's more a mental problem. Yes, as soon as they are able to step into a course, they see, oh, my neighbor is not more clever or IT informed as I am. They have the same difficulties. They have similar questions. They start to create their own learning environment supported by IT. But this mental barrier, this is the biggest problem we have.
Yeah. Yes. There are two remarks. One from Baroness from France and from Veronique from Belgium. They say more or less the same, that we have that there is. We saw some presentations yesterday about a voucher system in France where you where the state is working on a paperless public services. And of course, if you will start these next year, people must be aware of it, and everyone must be able to go and use these new media for the public services. Or the example we had yesterday from Belgium, from Gregory, it's more or less the same problems we face. We need a better pedagogical and understanding of the use of new media wherever, in adult learning, in the vet sector, and so on. And so I think there is a lot to do. If you mentioned that in Germany the teachers are on an average of over 50, I can imagine that they are not so open, but it's necessary to make these things happen and to change the system in a smooth way. Martina, you had a question. I can't see the raising hand, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I was looking for it and I can't find it today. the hand. So sorry. Yes, Michael, thank you very much indeed. And I just have a question. I mean, it's, if I understand correctly, your seminars are outside of the workplace, but if you had thought about doing similar what would happen? I was wondering if you had thought of training in real time, you know, in the actual learning situation in which the trainees would be involved. And it seems to me that this is also an opportunity for intergenerational learning, that the young people in the class, they have the IT know-how. And like if I was in a classroom now, somebody could have showed me where the hands up sign was, so that there could be a two-way learning in a way. I think that in the workplace, probably in the school setting, where the theoretical learning is the focus, that would perhaps be complicated, because then you might undermine the sort of teacher status or something if there was all the time sort of interruption from the floor, although maybe, you know, that's the way learning is going, why not? But certainly in the workplace, where there's actually, where the actual tasks are being done, I would have thought that you could develop maybe this sort of young people teaching the teacher and the teacher teaching the young person. I don't know if that's been thought about at all.
Yes, that's the idea, learning by doing in a way, yes. But so basic knowledge teachers and trainers receive in this first seminar stages in their self-learning. So we send them some basic material where they can check out where their what is the level of their understanding, yes. And then we start with them in typical learning and working tasks, and this first package they take into the company or into the vocational school, and then they create teams with young ones, and then they go through it. And if they are open-minded, and it's a kind of status also, no, of teachers and trainers, in the way they are the owners of the knowledge in a way. This borders are now away, because the young ones, they are owners of much more knowledge and information. But if you are able to share it in a common teamwork, going through this learning and work task, then you have success. This is what we get as a feedback. Yes, we don't separate the learning of the seminar in an isolated environment. We try to integrate it in the core activity and mission statement of teachers and trainers, teaching and training, not as an additional thing, but to support certain stages of the training, from a point of view that we start brand new with training in a way. Yes, it has another shape, and this might be successful. Yes, we are really curious, and we hope that we will have success with this. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's now 20 minutes past 10. I know you have to leave in 5 minutes. And so Svonka is asking, what about the video? I can imagine, if there are not a very important question now for the moment, that we could start it and have a view on it for maybe 5-6 minutes, so that we are still in time, that Michael can leave us, so to say, for the next conference. And if you have questions later, he was so kind to offer his email address, so that you can contact him. So that I would ask Greg if Michael.
Maybe final remark. So thank you for your understanding. What I just experienced a couple of days ago, our institute, the BIBB, has to follow a federal law, the e-government law. And I had a continuing training the last day for getting my office work totally into the internet. And I'm really thought to give away all the books, all the papers I have, and I have a lot of difficulties now to create a new virtual learning environment. So we very easily say, use it, use it, use it. But if we are, if we are in the situation, yes, to get away from very, very traditional working methods, it's not an easy job. This is once again a statement of mine. And just don't say, oh, you're not in the mood, or don't do it. It is a different way, and we have to be very aware of the different types of people and how to deal with it. So hope it was a little worthy information. I'm happy to answer your emails, or via Georg, ask him, he will transfer it to me. And probably once when we have seen, we will see again, maybe on another occasion. Thank you very much, and have a then later on a nice weekend for all of you. Thank you.
Vielen Dank, Michael. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And I think we can have a look for 5 minutes in the video. If Greg, could you start it?
Yes, okay, let it play.
How can you, as the person who is in charge of apprentices, help them to better understand the complex structures of the Industry 4.0? The answer is by having them develop their own smart factory.
In the BBS2, the vocational school number 2 in Wolfsburg, the complex technologies and processes of Industry 4.0 become approachable in the true sense of the word. Automation engineers in training and students from the combined study program have developed and built a compact smart factory filling plant on their own. It uses the same technical components as an industrial plant.
The plant carries out a single-part filling process. The process is controlled in the plant by 2 programmable logic controllers with a Profinet interface. We can start the filling process with our tailor-made app. Here, a box is pushed onto the conveyor. Then the M&Ms are put inside, and the pneumatic pick-and-place unit places a lid on the box. Next, a QR code is printed on the box with a unique name that we can enter through our app. And the QR code is then checked with a QR code scanner to see if it's correct. The data is uploaded onto the database with the help of an IoT 2000 and can be retrieved with our apps. This way we can get error messages directly on our smartphone or tablet.
The plant realizes a production environment that performs all necessary production processes and logistics autonomously. The individual components communicate with each other, and the workpieces themselves are integrated into the communication processes with the databases, thanks to RFID chips or QR codes. This allows it to create practically relevant, action-oriented and exciting training concepts for many topics that are relevant to Industry 4.0, for example logistics, maintenance, order management, quality and energy management, but also personal development. Learning and work tasks as a project method allow the apprentices in Wolfsburg a comprehensible and actionable first step into the abstract subject matter of Industry 4.0.
We always try to teach the students what they have to learn in the context of how it is going to be used later, namely in industrial plants. This is why our focus is always on working with real components, because this gives the learners the right motivation and makes them understand what they learn and what they are learning it for. It is easiest to understand how something works when you see the components in a system. You should never use isolated components outside of their context, and that is a very promising concept that, all in all, works very well for us.
But it is not just about using the plant as a catalyst to create motivation and as a model for the bigger picture. The second key component of the Wolfsburg training model has the apprentices and students develop their own supplemental learning materials, which will be used by future generations of apprentices.
I implement the contents on the online learning platform Moodle. Moodle helps to teach stuff to students and maybe also to teachers and to expand their knowledge. And there are a lot of basics for microcontrollers. I do it by creating a chapter for each basic topic. The chapters are structured in a way that I have a written introduction and often in the form of a problem, and then I create a suggestion for how to solve it. This suggested solution starts with images for the written text. For example, how to connect a button to the microcontroller. Next, I write the source code, and finally, I often include a video that shows the microcontroller in action.
The learning platform is also used for the cooperation between apprenticeship program, school, production and industry partners. There are now a large number of interactive learning modules and courses freely available online. This means that other apprentices benefit as well, both in vocational schools and during their training in companies. The learning content is not only relevant for technical apprenticeships either. There have been courses held for future management assistants as well.
The learning modules that have been jointly developed are used with our in-company apprentices as well. That is extremely important to me. Also in the transition and in the networks between vocational school and company. For example, we have given iPads to our first-year apprentices, mechatronics technicians and electronics technicians for automation.
Better to come to an end because the next
offline,
presentation
at
is
home and
waiting.
other locations. A very important.
So thank you very much. I will give you the link to the film in the chat, but with a look to the clock, we have to come to an end at that place. The film is, I think, 13 minutes, and it's quite interesting in here. But you also must keep in mind that the situation of a technical college or a vocational school in Wolfsburg is a very special one in Germany. It's not the normal technical college, of course. In Wolfsburg, VW, the car manufacturer is based, and so to say it, they have money. They have money for the technical colleges and so on. It is not a typical situation for the German vocational school, but nevertheless, it is very interesting. So I beg your pardon for being a little bit too late or delayed, and yes, I pass to Monique for the Dutch example. Thank you.